uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Well, hello there, humans, bees, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Let's talk about update 0.18.0 and the massive upheaval that has been applied to this Miramar map. And I've got to tell you, the overwhelming trend for me in all the touch-ups has been that it's a positive thing. There are so many great features have been added to this map, not to mention that there are new weapons and new vehicles and all that kind of stuff. The Golden Mirado obviously spawning at Hacienda del Patron, and if you haven't dropped Hacienda lately, it's hotter than it's ever been. There's new loops and all kinds of crazy stuff. I wanted to go over this thing in the Golden Mirado, like that was going to be a feature point at the video. One of the stakeholders was really keen on getting a little bit of Golden Mirado doing a 360 loop, and we nearly got it, but we also didn't get it. So anyway, moving onwards and upwards. I love the fact that they've changed so much of the map without really changing so much of the map. By that I mean they've just added more bells and whistles onto a lot of existing stuff. There are compounds everywhere, but there's also extra fences and there's layout changes internally to a lot of the structures, like the pink 5 stacks or 4 stacks in Picado, and there's whole new sections like this which are amazing. The ruins, which is on the western edge of the map, which unfortunately is a place that you don't see a lot of final circles go to. At least I don't. I always want to see final circles over here, but I very, very rarely see them. And then you've got Oasis, which is right up the northern end of the map, dead smack bang in the middle just about. We're going to have a look at that because I think that's one that's going to get featured a lot more. You can see we're right on the boundary here, quite literally right on the boundary. Oasis is close to the boundary, but it's a little further in, so you'll probably see this featured a touch more than you will Ruins. It's a very scattered resort style, but it's tough to get a lot of good loot here. It feels a lot like an airsoft field with busted ass buildings everywhere and shambolic, dusty avenues. It's very tough to find good loot. There's a couple of compounds here which are decent. I wouldn't bring a whole squad here. It's a bit of a train wreck when you bring in all the crew, but it does make for some really fun encounters. And there's a lot of, like I mentioned, it's like an airsoft field. There's a lot of undulation, and there's an oasis running through the middle of it, obviously the waterway and such, and it means you can get all these scattered engagements, and if there's multiple people up here, it can be quite a fun firefight. It's something that I was surprised by, actually. The amount of times I dropped here, obviously because it's new and there was a lot of people. I think that's going to settle down as we progress. The map feels like they've taken a finer brush to it, like the artist has filled in all the slots and fleshed it out a little more, and that's brilliant for me because Miramar was already my favorite map. Like, I loved it. We're going to talk about the Winchester 94 as well. There's some big stuff going on with this gun, and it's because this is early days in the patch, it's only been out a day, there's some very odd goings on. Let me show you. There's a guy with an AWM up there, and it's a spec. Like, this is really crazy, hey. It's really hard. I mean, I hit him just there, and it feels like I'm kicking goals. The numbers on the Winchester haven't changed. They're all up on my website, thebushka.com. Basically, you're only going to one-shot someone with a level 1 helmet. You'll take them out in the 90s if the level 2 helmet. But the real issue with the Winchester is this. That's the Winchester scope, right? It doesn't seem very large, does it? It doesn't seem... It's meant to be 2.7. But if you check it out, you'll see that's a 2x. And that's the size of a 2x. So that's our baseline. And then we're going to have a look at a 3x. And the 2.7 should be directly between the 3x and the 2x, because there's a 2.7x. Well, 2.7 times, that's what the X stands for. And there's a 3, but if we look at the 2.7, it's tiny. Now, don't want you to get all up in arms just yet, because there is a fix for this, and I'm going to show it to you now. It's pretty crazy, though, that this got past the Q&A, but when you think about it, the game is so immense, and the amount of changes they've made, kind of not. You just got to remove the skin. When you remove the skin from the Win 94, suddenly there's your 3x, and there's your Win 94, which is just a little bit under the 3x, and then there's your 2x, which is just a little bit under the Win 94, and it actually becomes a much more feasible and usable weapon. This was a surprise to me, and I did some testing on it, but guaranteed, take the skin off, you're going to be tickety-boo. It's not the only strange thing that's happened on the map, however. If you're running around, you're going to find odd bits that aren't rendering in. Like, there is a fence here. There's a gap in the fence, and then there's a fence, but this has been happening for time immemorial in any of these first-person shooter games, particularly Battle Royale games, and particularly games on the scale of this Miramar map. It's enormous, and the detail in it now is quite simply astounding. I love the changes, there's boxes in rooms, there's bigger, more open rooms, there's more fences, there's different kinds of skins, and yet you still get the same quality Miramar gameplay, which involves big circles, lots of sniping, hard compressions towards late game, and a lot of tactical nous to get across the line. I'm going to show you some fun I had with, how about this little snapshot here? Little duck, duck, weave, weave, wiggle, wiggle, duck. Yes, thanks very much. And I did try the Winnie out quite a bit, trying to get it across the line and turn it into what can only be termed as a poor man's Car 98. But before I started sorting the skin out, I just couldn't figure it out. But now we know, and we're going to be able to turn it into a useful part of the Miramar meta. And I think that's important, because if you have such an accessible sniper rifle that you can really use, then it's going to change the way things work. How about these two team-up grubs getting in the same car together in a singles game? I don't think so, boys. I think justice has been served, and it's been served with an Oompa Loompa, a UMOP, and an almighty splash of pineapple on the top of that pizza pie. Thanks very much. Sit down, you grubs. Overall, the map is quite simply gorgeous now, and apart from the wonderful sandstorm that is creeping in on the horizon, bringing an impending sense of dread and doom, all these new and interesting compounds makes for just an absolutely immersive gameplay experience. There's no way you can't enjoy this map more, unless you just liked not seeing a lot of stuff. Like, if big flat open fields, big bits of desert was your cup of tea, then sadly you're about to be disappointed. But if you like a feature-rich environment that speaks to the Pubg Mobile soul and the consciousness of your sniping self, then happy days. You're really going to have a good time. Here's some poor grub down there. You're going to see there's the loop-de-loop, which is part of a racetrack. I've got a map of the racetrack that I'm going to put up here. You can see that. This is courtesy of the Grassroots Discord server. They popped that in there for me, which is kind of them. Ori sent it to me. That compound never existed before, and that's wonderful, because it means that there's a new place within Final Circle where you're not just going to get caught out in the wide open sands, and you're going to have a chance to return fire. I really think that this is an outstanding job. This is a map that was good already and has been lifted to just another level, and that's a big thing for me, because there's a lot of craft goes into this stuff, and hats off to the map designers over there. The candid sites are lovely, although they're not Miramar specific, and this video is very much about Miramar, but they make a huge difference. Being able to run a 4 and a red dot on the same weapon, or the candid site is basically a white red dot. I haven't screwed around with the colors yet, so I'm not certain as to whether or not you can change that, but I found it to be very, very useful, and something that I'll be using, especially on a gun like the M4, where you can have a 4X or a 3X and the candid sight on the other, and then just switch from one to the next. For instance, when someone is running away on a motorbike and you go tap, 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 and you don't have to go through the whole kerfuffle of running through the... and you can set that up all in your controls. Very, very basic, very straightforward. And again, not Miramar specific, but they did change the crossbow. So now you've got a tracer on it there. It leaves a trail when it fires, which makes it a lot easier to see when you need to adjust up or down in terms of long-range sniping, which is going to make it a far more effective weapon overall. Look, crackerjack update. We're going to break down some of the other features of the game, especially the ones that I'm interested in. I'm not such a big fan of Evo modes and all that kind of thing, but again, it's content rich and I'm really impressed. It's been well worth the wait, and I can't wait to get out there and rip into some more Miramar meta. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Hope you've got a hold of a Golden Murado, and I surely hope that you're using it to good effect, trying to run people over, or if not, you're just generally potatoing out in front of people while beeping at them, which is exactly what I managed to do the first time out of the garage. Look after yourselves, boys and girls. Stay safe in the battlefield. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to send a little bit of cash my way, become a patron, patreon.com/thebushka. That's how we keep the lights on around this joint. Until next time, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.